So I guess tears aren't the only types of showers that Golden Kamuy is a part of. Last week, still unsure how to feel about that golden shower, but you know what? Somehow Golden Kamuy can have golden showers, and we're not gonna bat an eye at it. We just kind of accept it. I didn't review last week's episode, feeling a little under the weather, so decided to do a double review for this week, episode 11 and 12 of Season 3. And honestly, truthfully, watching episodes 11 and 12 back to back, perfect way to conclude this season. You can tell they go together, you can tell they flow together so elegantly, it just makes it feel like a double episode. And honestly, this is probably peak Golden Kamuy. It'll be interesting to see, should we get that Season 4 in the future, which I hope we do, if they'll be able to top what was seen with this emotional finale. I think it was explosive. I think it had a bit of humor to it. I think it had quite a few emotional punches. But ultimately, I think it lived up to what I thought was going to happen, but also did things I wasn't expecting. For a while now, while reviewing Season 3, I just felt like Sugimoto, when he meets up with everyone, I felt like for a while it was going to be like a gorilla going wild, beating the living shit out of everyone who took his Sirpa from him. But then, as the season got deeper in the episode count, it felt more like he was a lot more tame, and that as long as nothing too bad happens when he meets up with them, there's no way he'll go on a rampage. And we kind of get the most interesting middle ground I think we could possibly see. Someone like Ogata has always been a shady character. Hell, Kiro himself has been a shady character. The show is so fascinating because you can look at these characters and feel confident in what you're thinking they are, but then in a moment's notice, you're back on your toes wondering, is this friend or is this foe? And Ogata is a character who, he lies out of his ass nonstop. That is who he is. He is a liar, he is a killer, and he's damn good at both. So the idea of him basically trying to rip her away because he recognizes that she's remembered something, and he wants this all for himself. So he rips her away and starts feeding her the most important lies ever. And honestly, I thought Sirpa was playing with him for a while. It wasn't until he mentioned the food where she switched her persona around. This was a girl who, honestly, it makes so much sense when you look at what she's lost, who she is, who she's been traveling with. There's no reason for her to look at someone like Ogata or Kiro as anyone not to trust. The main reason for her hiding the information that she remembered was that she promised her father that she would never say it to anyone other than herself or him. So it's fascinating watching something just feed into her biggest insecurities and vulnerabilities and using pretty much a believable lie about him wanting to fulfill Sugimoto's dream. Yeah, I want gold, but I also want to help his friend's widow. There's a lot of things that are playing up with an emotional side, and to be honest, this man, for being as skilled as he is, I thought he would have eventually shut down the questioning, because after a couple you'd think he'd want to just be like, okay, you have enough information, but this was her at her emotional weakness. She misses Sugimoto. It makes the most sense for him to just keep feeding her what she wants to hear, not understanding that there would eventually come a point where he would trap himself in his own lies. So the idea of the bow being drawn, that was something that I really liked, but I knew she wasn't going to fire it. She wasn't going to kill. She's not a killer. I thought what was going to happen was Sugimoto would get shot, and then maybe she would fire it in his leg or something, not in the eye. So the idea of the startling realization, him getting shot in the eye, Sugimoto coming in, stabbing his eye out, ripping it out, to then sucking the poison and any infection away. This was probably the best middle ground you didn't see coming. You were questioning, would it be peaceful or would it be vengeful when Sugimoto arrives? And he does a vengeful, murderous thing, but he does it to save him so that she would not be a killer and taint her hands and be a part of more war and bloodshed. That is, without a doubt, the biggest and most defining moment I think Golden Kamuy has seen to date. It's something that's emotionally driven and feels well developed and built up to, and it just really serves a purpose to show that out of all the characters, I said it for a long time, the only characters you can truly trust in this series is Sugimoto and Sirpa's desire and will to be together. It feels like a great father-daughter duo, and for a girl who's lost her father and really hasn't had that, I think this is absolutely what you wanted to see. Not someone using her for gold, not someone using her for anything. Yeah, Sugimoto wants gold, but as he says at the end of the episode, there's something else he's fighting for. It's for this girl to get away from all this, to just be someone who can enjoy her life and not be thrown into a war-torn story like this. To have that build-up, to have the reunion, to have the comedy, the emotional sides, it just really felt like everything came together. And then the Kiro stuff, I mean, out of all the characters, I was expecting Ogata to die. That just felt like the safest bet, but Golden Kamuy once again proves that the safest bet isn't always what's going to happen. and to see Kiro actually go out. And there was so many points where you're like, character's dying, character didn't die. Oh, tosses a grenade, that grenade gets cut in half and diffuses it before it explodes. At every point you felt like, oh, this is clearly a death, and then there wasn't. Not a death, wasn't. So I think I can probably speak for many people watching these past couple episodes. When you see so many baits and switch of character's gonna die and then character doesn't die, you kind of just assume no one's dying. And I was going to be okay with that. I was going to be like, you know what, for how emotional this has already been, we don't need to see a death. And then Kiro gets killed. And I'm like, whoa, okay. Kiro, I think, is probably one of the most fascinating characters in Golden Kamuy, because I personally think that you can rewatch the show and watch every episode with him, and you can come out looking at his perspective and his viewpoint differently every single time. The idea that Hsieh just wanted these answers and wanted the questions, and the fact that for him dying knowing that she remembered something, that the journey was worth it, that there was these pointless and, ridiculous memories, but the journey was worth it, and he valued those journeys. And even though there's so many lies and deceits and criminal things he's done throughout his life, it just felt like his life had purpose if she remembered. You can look at that scene in so many ways and appreciate it differently. And honestly, I keep thinking different things about him. On one hand, I love him. On one hand, I hate him. On one hand, I think he's the most important character. It's hard to feel one certain way about him. And then with the Ogata stuff and him basically doing a great bait and switch, making it look like he jumped out of the window to then basically holding people hostage, it just feels like there's so much room for season 4 to, I'm not sure, end on anything, but, set up and conclude a lot more plot points that, honestly, season 3 did a great job at taking the first 2 seasons, the first 2 cores, and really running with it. At a certain point, I felt like maybe there was too many cooks in the kitchen, but looking at it overall, I think I like it. I think it works in its favor. The amount of characters in this sequence, it didn't feel bloated, it didn't feel rushed. Personally, they cleared up everything that I thought wasn't going to be able to be cleared up for its 3rd season, while setting up a fantastic 4th. It's another great stopping point that should, for whatever reason, the anime doesn't get more. It's not the most brutal stopping point, but at the very least, it's pretty popular in Japan, so I guess eventually, in a couple years' time, we'll probably see that season 4 eventually, especially if Geno Studio is already willing to do 3 seasons already. Fantastic season, great season, underrated season, emotional, and I think you can just continue to appreciate and look at and observe the season in so many different lights, and honestly, everyone can make compelling arguments on why things are evil or heroic or fantastic or horrifying, and they all have justifiable arguments, and that's how you know Golden Kamuy is a step above many series. Let me know your thoughts and feelings on either episode 11 or 12, or hell, the entire season down below in the comment section. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like, share your support, hit that subscribe button if you have been new around here. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.